Let's get right into this review for Death of a Unicorn. Alright, so Death of a Unicorn is a dark comedy fused with light horror elements and is directed by Alex Sharfman. I can't say I've seen any of his previous works before, but I have to say I was pleasantly surprised with his directing on this film. I'm now anticipating the other stories that he'll work on next. But yeah, to get right into it, I had myself a dumb fun time with this cinematic experience at the theaters. I love the sense of originality with the plot being told here, and especially many of the characters involved within the story. I thought the entire cast for this film crushed their respective roles. Their top-notch performances really helped to solidify a lot of the B-tier story elements and most of the goofy moments in a good way. Now, my favorite moments in the film definitely took place during Acts 1 and 2. I will say by Act 3, I did feel the story go down the slippery slope quite a bit. It tended to drag on far longer during the climax and was filled with predictable outcomes that made the viewing experience less fresh compared to the initial phases of getting this absurd story started. And even though Act 3 was a bigger weak point to this overarching narrative, I think the setup alone definitely helped to make up for the lacking conclusion in terms of my satisfaction with the cinematic package as a whole. It was fun to see the story play out, and I thoroughly enjoyed seeing plenty of believable reactions that many characters had during the chaotic moments. I also thought Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega in particular did a great job with their parent-daughter relationship as the main leads, which undoubtedly helped to further carry the film until its conclusion. And in all honesty, without Will Poulter's performance with his character, this film could have been significantly less comedic, so great highlights from him too within this screenplay. Now to talk about the other positives, I thought the film utilized great set locations, good costume designs, and incredibly solid unicorn CGI to tell this story. With a $15 million budget, I'd say the money was well spent. This was a visually pleasing film to watch, and I had no problems on that end. Another positive lie with the quirky dialogues, which helped to elevate the dynamic between many of the characters that inevitably interacted with each other at different phases of the story. I found myself having a decent chuckle here and there, and found much of the dialogue to land effectively when it needed to. And again, this is an absurd story, and I went into this knowing full well what I was getting myself into. The trailer definitely does a great job in leading you to the correct direction of what you can expect with this narrative. With that being said, it goes without saying that this film also has some glaring flaws. This is undoubtedly a B-tier plot that stays well in its lane. Plot holes definitely do exist here, some character decisions are quite questionable, and the story does get a bit more derailed and dumber as it goes on in a negative manner. Also, some pivotal aspects to the backstory of the MC aren't as fleshed out as I would have liked them to be. So with everything considered, my final score for Death of a Unicorn is 7 out of 10. I think if what you viewed in the trailers piqued your interest, then you'll undoubtedly be having a fun time at the theaters with this one. There are elements of campiness and absurdity that can swing like a double-edged sword, depending on the viewer's threshold of seeing these elements on screen, but I think most moviegoers at the end of the day will still find a lot more positives to this cinematic experience. Thanks for checking this movie review out. I'll have more reviews for next week, so stay tuned to that, and I hope to see you on my next upload, but until then, peace.